Hey there. We're diving deep today into the Baltic states.
Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania.
Got a whole bunch of sources to get through, historical articles, personal stories, even some descriptions from museum exhibits.
Quite the mix.
So where should we even begin with all of this?
Well, I think the common thread running through all of this is the relationship with Russia.
Ah, yeah, that's right. Like how their history, particularly with Russia.
It's really shaped their present.
And future, too, I bet.
Absolutely.
Okay, so to understand the Baltics today,
We've got to understand their past.
let's go back a bit then. I mean, we're talking decades under Soviet rule.
Decades, yeah.
Sure.
From 1940 to 1991.
Wow, I can't even imagine.
It was a period of intense repression.
Really?
Yeah, deportation, suppression of local languages,
Wow.
cultures. The Soviets really tried to, erase any sense of Baltic identity.
And yet, like, the spirit of resistance never died.
Never died.
Uh-huh.
Which is pretty amazing when you think about it.
And, in our research, we kept seeing this term, singing revolution. What's that all about?
So in Estonia, during the late 1980s, people would gather for these massive song
A
festivals.
song festival.
Yeah, and they'd sing patriotic songs that were banned under Soviet rule.
So,
They were literally using song as a form of protest.
really?
Yeah, huge crowds, a symbol of defiance.
Wow, I'd love to have seen that.
You can't understand Estonia's path to freedom without understanding the singing revolution.
Huh. Music as a weapon. That's powerful stuff.
Powerful, yeah.
And of course, you can't talk about the Baltic states without talking about...
Russia.
Exactly, especially with everything happening in Ukraine.
Of course.
That has to be weighing heavily on everyone's minds.
Absolutely. I mean, the annexation of Crimea in 2014 was a real turning point.
Oh, yeah.
Sent shockwaves through the whole region.
Makes sense.
For the Baltics, the war in Ukraine is personal.
Oh, I can see that, yeah.
It's a reminder of their own vulnerability.
It really brings it home.
It does.
One of our sources actually mentioned museums exhibiting pieces of Russian military uniforms taken from killed soldiers.
I saw that, yeah.
Pretty intense.
I mean, it's a deliberate choice, right?
Yeah,
They're confronting their history head on,
that's heavy.
not shying away from the difficult parts.
And it's not a simple black and white picture, is it?
No, not at all.
We saw this source that talked about the Russian-speaking minority within the Baltic states.
Right, right.
I mean, that's got to be a tough position to be in.
It is, for sure.
Almost like they're caught between two worlds.
Absolutely. It adds a whole other layer of complexity.
Well, and one story that really resonated with me was about Alina,
Alina.
that young teacher in Narva, Estonia.
I remember her story.
She identifies as Estonian, but
But she has family members who support Putin.
wow, talk about divided loyalties.
It's a powerful example of the tensions and complexities that exist in this region.
It makes you wonder how,
How those different perspectives form within the same family.
like, what leads to that?
Is it generational? Ideological?
So many questions.
Definitely.
It's fascinating, but it's also heartbreaking,
Yeah, I know what you mean.
to see families divided like that.
It's a reminder that these issues are deeply personal.
Yeah, they're not just abstract political debates.
They have real-world consequences for people's lives.
Absolutely. Well, I think this is a good place to pause for now.
Sounds good.
We'll be back in a moment to continue our deep dive into the Baltic states.
Looking forward to it. Back again, diving deeper into the Baltic states.
It's really striking how these countries are dealing with their past, while also...
Looking ahead to the future.
And that whole thing about living next door to Russia.
It's a constant presence.
Yeah, I mean, I keep thinking about Alina's story.
Alina, the teacher.
Yeah, in Narva.
Right, with family who supports Putin.
Like, talk about being caught in the middle.
It really highlights the fact that...
There's so many different perspectives.
Exactly, not just one narrative.
And that's got to be tough, right?
Building a unified national identity.
While also...
Recognizing the diversity within their borders.
It's like, how do you even approach that?
Well, I think education is key.
Education.
Teaching their history.
The good and the bad.
All of it. The nuances.
Not shying away from the tough stuff.
Nope.
And then there's the whole cultural side of things.
Culture, yeah.
Art, music, all of that.
It's a way to bridge those divides.
And technology too, right?
Oh, absolutely.
We talked about how digitally advanced the Baltics are.
They're using it to connect people.
Create virtual spaces for dialogue.
Sharing information, resources.
Just like they're...
building bridges.
But not just physical ones.
Digital ones, too.
That's pretty cool.
It's a multifaceted approach to unity and inclusion.
And that seems to be working.
It is. They're making real progress.
Though I imagine there are still challenges.
Of course.
Like, what about the people who miss the Soviet days?
There are some, yes.
The ones who see Russia as a protector
It takes time.
for those sentiments to fade.
It does.
So how do you deal with that?
Open dialogue,
Talking it out.
showing the benefits of a free society.
Right.
But it's a delicate balance,
For sure.
honoring the past while embracing the future.
And let's talk about that future a bit, especially the economic side of things.
Their economic transformation has been remarkable.
I mean, to go from Soviet control to thriving market economy.
That's incredible achievement.
What do you think was the key to their success?
Embracing free market principles early on was crucial.
So, like, good economic policies.
Exactly. Sound macroeconomic policies,
Yeah.
trade liberalization, a business-friendly environment.
And joining the EU probably helped too, right?
Absolutely. Access to a massive market,
Financial assistance.
which they use strategically,
Mhm.
investing in infrastructure, education, innovation.
Smart moves.
Yeah, they really laid the foundation for long-term growth.
And it wasn't just about joining existing structures. They were also,
Building new partnerships.
right, like with the Nordic countries,
Exactly. Regional cooperation has been a big focus for them.
leading to more growth and stability.
For everyone involved,
And they're not stopping there.
nope, they're looking beyond Europe as well,
Asia, North America,
diversifying their economic relationships.
not putting all their eggs in one basket.
Exactly. It's a smart strategy in today's globalized world.
And speaking of globalization, let's talk tech again.
Sure.
The Baltics are known for being pretty tech savvy.
They are.
How's that translating into economic benefits?
Well, they've become hubs for startups.
Startups.
Yeah, and tech innovation, attracting investment, creating jobs.
Like Skype, right,
Skype is a prime example.
from Estonia.
That's right, it put them on the map.
And they're continuing to attract those big global players.
It's driving economic growth.
Creating those high-paying jobs.
They're not just consumers of technology.
They're shaping it.
Exactly, they're active creators and producers.
So, like, what are some of the challenges they face going forward?
Well, one of the biggest is demographics.
Demographics.
Aging populations, declining birth rates.
Oh, right.
It's a problem in a lot of developed countries.
Putting a strain on those social safety nets.
And the workforce.
So how do they address that?
Encouraging immigration?
Bringing in new talent.
Exactly. And implementing family-friendly policies.
To boost those birth rates.
Right. And investing in education and training.
Making sure their workforce is ready for the future.
Precisely.
And I bet climate change is a big concern, too.
It is, especially given their location.
Yeah, all that coastline.
Vulnerable to rising sea levels.
And those extreme weather events.
They're on the front lines of climate change.
So what are they doing about it?
Investing in renewable energy.
Wind, solar, that kind of thing.
Exactly. Improving energy efficiency,
Mm.
developing sustainable transportation systems.
And they're working with their neighbors, right?
Absolutely. Regional cooperation is essential.
Because this isn't something any one country can solve on its own.
Exactly. It's a global challenge.
It's good to see them taking it seriously.
They are. They're thinking long-term.
Making sure that growth is sustainable.
Balancing economic prosperity with environmental protection.
That's the goal.
Creating a future where everyone benefits.
But let's not forget about Russia,
Right.
looming large in the background.
The war in Ukraine has definitely changed things.
I bet it's made them even more determined to protect their independence.
And absolutely, they're not taking any chances.
So how are they bolstering their defenses?
Well, for one, they've increased defense spending,
Makes sense.
modernizing their armed forces, investing in new equipment, technology.
That's cybersecurity too, right?
Absolutely, it's a key part of modern defense.
And they're working more closely with NATO.
Definitely. Participating in exercises, missions, collaborating on strategy,
Showing that united front.
sending a clear message to Russia.
Don't mess with us.
We're ready.
It's kind of sobering though, isn't it?
It is.
That this threat is still so real,
In the 21st century.
but it's also inspiring
How so?
to see their courage, their determination.
They're not backing down.
They're standing up for what they believe in,
Freedom, democracy.
the values that are worth fighting for.
Absolutely.
Their story really highlights the importance of
Unity.
resilience.
Standing together?
Well, we've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
I think it's time to take a little breather.
Sound good.
We'll be back in a bit to wrap things up and
Reflect on what we've learned.
from our deep dive into the Baltic states.
All right, we're back and ready to wrap up our deep dive into the Baltic states.
It's been a fascinating journey, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we've learned so much.
About their history
Their culture, their
and
struggles,
their triumphs.
and those personal stories like Alina's.
They really brought it all home.
Yeah, those personal stories really stuck with me.
Me too. It's a reminder.
This isn't just about politics and economics
That's about real people.
and their lived experiences.
So as we wrap up,
What are some of the key takeaways?
that you want our listeners to remember?
Well, for me, it's the resilience of the Baltic people.
Absolutely. That really shines through.
They face so many challenges.
And yet they've never given up.
They haven't just survived,
They've thrived.
building strong democracies,
The dynamic economies.
unique cultures,
And done it all.
right next door to Russia.
It's really quite remarkable.
A testament to their spirit.
And I hope our listeners also remember that.
The Baltic states are more than just pawns in a geopolitical game.
Yeah, they're not just
Buffer zones.
or battlegrounds.
They're nations with their own stories to tell.
Their own paths to forge.
And they're making their own choices.
Shaping their own destinies.
But
And they're proving that
even small nations can have a global impact.
they're leading the way in so many areas.
Like digital innovation.
Climate action.
And the defense of democratic values.
And they're doing it all.
With a collaborative spirit.
A belief in the power of working together.
It's inspiring, really.
It is. It makes you think.
What's possible?
Even when the odds are stacked against you.
They've shown that change is possible,
That we can build a better future.
even in the face of adversity.
It's a message of hope.
And resilience.
A reminder that the human spirit can overcome incredible challenges. So as we leave the Baltic states behind,
What do we take with us?
I think we take their spirit,
Their determination.
their unwavering belief in a brighter future.
And we remember that their story,
Isn't just about them.
it's a story that resonates with all of us.
A story about the pursuit of freedom,
And the importance of standing up for what you believe in.
no matter the odds.
Well said.
It's been a fascinating journey.
A privilege to learn from their experience.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive into the Baltic states.
Thanks for joining us.
Until next time, keep exploring
Keep learning.
and keep questioning.